Okay, so we're going to go through the data to see how to diagnose this problem. Typically with SaaS companies, there is some sort of issue in the middle of the funnel that can be fixed without a lot of money. You might need to invest in a little bit of automation software. You need to invest time in copywriting. You need to invest time in talking to sales and other people in marketing, but you don't need a lot of budget to drive the top of the funnel. You can improve performance significantly just by fixing the funnel itself. Here are some benchmarks from Forrester. Now, what we can see here is the conversion rates from marketing qualified leads to sales qualified leads to pipeline. So pipeline is the potential revenue associated with sales qualified opportunities. Now, depending on how sophisticated your SaaS company is, you may not know what that means. So basically, opportunities are potentials to win a contract. These are people that may be considering buying your product, buying your competitor's product, and typically they would be assigned to potential revenue if you project that they'll probably make a purchase decision in the next 3 months, maybe 6 months if you're selling a large enterprise and you're dealing with a long sales cycle. Often companies don't have a funnel that's this detailed. And in fact, there are funnels that are more detailed than this. So instead of before MQL, you might have marketing engaged leads. And before marketing engaged leads, you could have marketing captured leads. But this is sort of a standard business to business funnel that you'd be operating under. So what we can see here is that the typical conversion rate, and your situation may be different. Maybe you're dealing with very small companies or very large companies. So the data are going to be a little bit different. But basically, it's about a third. So about a third of people you expect to go through each stage. Now, for some companies, SQL and pipeline are effectively the same thing. So if you get in touch with the contact and you're pretty much selling them most of the time when you get them on the phone, then you can pretty much say, okay, SQL pipeline are the same thing. But typically what happens is there is a huge drop off here where you might have hundreds of MQLs and just a handful of SQLs. And that's just indicative of not having a proper handoff to the sales team. Sometimes what you see is that the win rate is too high, and often what the win rate of the pipeline is too high. What that would suggest is you have too strict a definition of what constitutes pipeline or what constitutes an opportunity. Often this happens because people use BANT as the criteria for determining what a sales qualified opportunity is. That's not really that great because if your close rate on opportunities is 80+%, then you're not really looking at opportunities, you're really just looking at customers. And why track customers and pipeline at the same time? So sometimes what you need to do is loosen the definition of what constitutes opportunities by extending the time frame or loosening some of the other criteria that you use for opportunities. So let's take a look at how this typically plays out in a spreadsheet. Now, often what I see is companies, typically the COO, the CFO, sometimes the head of marketing or the head of demand generation will have a spreadsheet. It'll look something like this. Original lead source, and then they'll track MQL, SQL, SQO, so these are the opportunities, and then the customers. And then what they might track, if they're a little more sophisticated, would be the CAC. So you'll have some different channels. You'll have paid search, you might have paid social ads, maybe like programmatic. You may have organic search, and you might have partnerships, customer referrals, So whatever lead source buckets you're using in Salesforce and HubSpot and Zoho, whatever system you're using, you can just put them into a spreadsheet like this. You may already be doing this. You may have this automated in your CRM already with a reporting dashboard. That's great. Now, often what may happen is you generate something like, well, let's categorize this. Let's say that this is for the month of January. Okay, so let's say you generated 100 MQLs. So these are demo requests in this case. And SQL I'm going to define as a conversation with sales. Okay, so you generate 100 demo requests. Maybe they cost, say, $50 to generate a demo request. But then you only get 10 SQLs. And then out of those, let's say 5 become SQOs, and then 3 become customers. So the problem here is the conversion from MQL to SQL is only 10%. And if we use benchmarks, which granted are not perfect and are going to vary by case, that conversion rate should be about 1/3. And instead we're getting 1 in 10. So this is a problem. What's happening is sales is generating tons of demo requests. They're probably doing it cost effectively too. They might be even getting it for under $50. They might be doing it for $10. But it doesn't really matter if your SQL cost is through the roof. So what you need to look at is, why are these people requesting demos not actually having conversations with sales? Why are they not replying to the emails? Why are they not showing up even though they scheduled demos? Maybe they're not even scheduling demos. Maybe you need a Calendly link to make sure it gets on the calendar. Maybe when somebody requests a demo on the website, they need to be brought to a calendar immediately. And if they are doing that, maybe you just need more nurturing emails that A, remind them to show up for the demo, and B, reinforce what your product does and the benefits of showing up to the demo. I think there are a lot of assumptions when people become an MQL. Assumptions about the level of awareness, the level of memory, and the level of intent. If somebody is browsing through Facebook, browsing through LinkedIn, and they request a demo, you cannot assume that they're going to remember your brand name. And often that's the first conversation that they're going to get from the account executive. Hey, I'm Joe from X brand. When are you available for a demo? And there are so many issues with that kind of follow-up email. One, why is the onus on the prospect to provide a time to do the demo? The best option would be prompt them to schedule it automatically through the website. If they don't do that, then have a link in the email that allows them to book through Calendly or HubSpot or whatever. And if they don't do that, propose sometimes. Okay, how is Tuesday afternoon Eastern or Wednesday morning Pacific? And if they don't do that, then there's the option for them to reply to suggest times. So that could be one of the issues that's happening in this poor conversion rate. There are lots of other things that could be happening too. One is just not doing proper nurturing. So the fact that they requested a demo could suggest that they're actually requesting demos from competitors as well. So if you request demos from 3 different suppliers for, let's say your SaaS product is an online chat, you may not remember which one you talked to. You may already be on the phone with one of the providers. So you need to look at things like response time. Did you respond to that lead within 5 minutes? Did you respond to them within 5 days? And did your email even go through? Is there a deliverability issue? There are tons and tons of problems that happen with the conversion from MQL to SQL. And typically what I recommend to SaaS companies is, before they start looking at top of funnel marketing and scaling their marketing, they need to start fixing these leaky buckets. Now, let's say this number was higher. So for example, in partnerships, let's say it's 100 and we're getting 40 SQLs. This is good. 40% of the demo requests are actually ending up having conversations with sales, but let's say that we're only getting 5 opportunities here. So that suggests that there's a different issue in the funnel. The conversion from SQL to SQO is the issue. So you're not actually getting people that have urgent buying intent. So what that may mean is that you need to change who your partnerships are with. Perhaps you need to align yourself with partners that are more involved with customers at key junctures where they need to make purchases. So examples of that is if somebody has built a new website, maybe it's an e-commerce website, that is a critical time when they need to invest in a lot of different SaaS products, right? They're going to need the online chat. They're going to need automated integrations. They're going to need e-commerce applications. They may need heat map data. They're going to need analytics data. So a lot of that happens at that trigger point, which is creating a new website. And there are certain partners that have disproportionate power during that period. Web designers and web developers, and also the back-end programmers that are involved with the ERPs and whatnot. So you can see that by looking at key issues along the funnel, you can start to hone in on where the marketing gaps are. Now, sometimes where the issue is the conversion from SQO to customers. Maybe it's only 10%, 20%, something like that. What that suggests is that you may have an informalized sales process that needs to be formalized. It may mean that you need to bring in a temporary sales consultant, or it may mean that your product marketing manager needs to spend more time on sales enablement. So you can look at things like, why did you lose opportunities? Are you losing them to competitors? Are you losing them because of price? So if price is the issue, then it's not really a sales problem. It's a fundamental issue with the pricing structure. It could also just be a fundamental misunderstanding, a strategic misunderstanding of what you're selling. A lot of SaaS companies make this high-level marketing strategy mistake. And one of those mistakes is the assumption that they're selling a strategic purchase. So a strategic purchase is when the product that you're selling helps your customer differentiate their product to their customers. But a lot of the time, SaaS products are not strategic purchases. They just fix little operational issues that have nothing to do with differentiating their offerings. So online chat would be an example. Certain things dealing with accounting or with the flow of invoices or email communications. These are not strategic purchases. So trying to charge a premium price for those kinds of products is a high-level failed mistake, because it's very hard to charge a premium price when you are selling a non-strategic purchase. So if that's where things are falling apart at the SQO to customer stage, you should be looking at the lost reasons. Price is one of those, but it could also just be issues with the sales team. So you should be listening to phone calls that sales are having with prospects. Is it appropriate? Is it aligned with the strategy, the marketing strategy and the sales strategy? And there should be cross-departmental collaboration. So if you're seeing issues across every stage and the conversion is very poor, it could indicate that there's just not enough collaboration between departments. So it may mean weekly meetings between marketing and sales, and maybe bi-weekly meetings with the CEO or the heads of the department, something like that. Could also mean that your top of funnel targeting is very poor. So for example, Facebook often requires targeting based on lookalikes, and lookalikes are far less out of your control than something that may have much more precise, efficient targeting like LinkedIn. So creating a spreadsheet like this is going to help you diagnose problems and fix errors that are going to occur at different stages in the funnel, which are going to vary by company. But again, I would say one of the biggest issues is MQL to SQL.